Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. We are a full service CX and UX consultancy. You can learn more at the new site I'm working on, customercentricity.com. And welcome to February 7, 2023's edition of Office Hours Ask Us Anything. And it's us because I do have a special guest today who we will be meeting in just a moment. But meanwhile, let me press a couple of buttons, and first let me thank everybody. Yes, I still haven't updated this yet, but thanks to everybody, past, present, and future, who's donating to the channel through the YouTube membership program. Just go to YouTube and click that join button, and people are giving between $3 and $10 American dollars per month, which keeps me in chocolate chips and streaming software. So thanks to everybody for your super kind donations there. We already have 2 questions in, and we're going to get started in a moment. If you would like to ask a question, you can put it in the chat. I am monitoring LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. Or if you want to ask anonymously, just visit deltacx.com/links. And on that page of all the links related to our show, you will find a link to ask your super secret anonymous question. So we have a first-time guest today. Wow! Hold on, let's see if I have my round of applause. There you go. It's a little sad applause. I need a louder one. But let's bring her in. Some of you know her. We've got Helle Martens here, who some of you know from UX Copenhagen. Helle, tell us who you are.
Well, wow. Hi. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me. And hello, everybody. This is really exciting. Oh my God. I'm guesting with, a superstar.
Oh,
this is amazing. Yeah. Anyway, and also, no, I should wait with this, right? I'll wait with this.
Thank you. She got my shipment of books for the conference.
I did. And I also bought 3 myself that I will be raffling out at the conference. So anyway, so my name is Helle Martens, and that was, by the way, an excellent pronunciation. Thank you for that, Debbie. I have worked in UX for 25 years. So, like Debbie was saying, around 4,000 years. I started as a mechanical engineer. My first job was UI engineer. And then I worked at Nokia for like 9 years, and yeah, have called myself a UX designer since then, because I learned a lot about usability and that kind of thing. So yeah, and about 8 years ago, I started this crazy idea I had for starting a conference in Copenhagen. And first time it was in March 2015. And somehow I sold 144 tickets to an event. So I've been doing it annually since. And it's been challenging these past 3 years, especially 2020, where we had 18 days to convert to, what is that?
That's crying rain.
Oh, yeah, 18 days to convert to digital, but we did it. And yeah. So, and we're back to live this time, actually hybrid. So, but there's like 200 seats in our venue. And Debbie will be speaking, and she will be hosting not only a workshop at the conference, but also a meetup here and all sorts of other good things. So come to Copenhagen.
That's right. And I would say Copenhagen, but evidently it's Copenhagen. So oops. But everybody go to UX Copenhagen, or however you pronounce it, .com, and check out, especially if it's before late March 2023. I don't know when you're watching this video, but get your butt signed up for Helle's event. And of course, if you can get to Copenhagen, please do. Otherwise, there are remote and I guess kind of, because it's a hybrid event, you can join from afar.
Oh, yes. We have 20 countries joining, so.
Holy cats, great networking. And is there a Delta CX discount?
Absolutely. So I didn't think of this until earlier today. Otherwise, it should have been Delta. Ready?
Yes.
10 disco to go with the cool neon sign and the disco confetti that you were shooting out before.
So my discount code is 10 and the word disco?
Yes, for a 10% discount on either live or online tickets.
Let me write that on the screen, and you can tell me if it looks right. Hold on. This is a high-class production here. 10 disco, everybody, if you want to.
There you go.
Take 10% off courtesy of Helle. I make no money on that. I'm paid the same no matter how many people come, so please come. Okay, super. So we're going to start getting to your questions. I also want to open up my email to see if I'm missing any questions. Some of them come into my email, but not yet. All right, so I'm going to put the first question up and I'm going to read it, and then you're going to take a crack at answering it. Usually the guest gives an answer first unless they want to pass. So
Okay.
this question comes in anonymously and says, any ideas about a non-UX job role or career where I could utilize my years of UX research experience, such as putting user needs first and listening deeply, as well as applying my idealism? I think I need to move on from UX, but I can't see out of the box for other possibilities. P.S. I'm not interested in becoming a therapist. They read our
Yeah,
minds. Okay,
exactly.
so career advice for someone who thinks they are done with UX research but wants to transfer those skills. Helle.
I mean, I would say you can use them for anything, anything. They're super valuable skills to have. And I think that they are actually used in a lot of other places than UX. So I don't think, I mean, thinking about the user or using your listening skills or using, your networking, your bridge building abilities, all those kind of things that we have as UXers. I think those are very usable in other jobs, like even marketing or, I mean, sales, anything, anything. But I would also say, I mean, it's kind of sad to hear that you want to leave UX. I was wondering why that would be. That would be a question back to you, because it sounds like you're a pretty darn good one. I had a chat with, so in 2020, when we went online in those 18 days, I was lucky enough to be able to get Don Norman to come online. So we had a 2-hour chat,
I
which was
remember that.
amazing. Yeah. And he said, one of the things he said that I thought was really, really cool is he said, if you're new to UX and going into it, then the most important skills you can bring is everything else than UX. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like he said, go do, mechanics or go do anything except design and then bring that into design.
Okay, R for everything. I got your question. I put it on the end of the list. There's a couple of questions before you. Solomon says, I want to be a farmer now. I'm tired of everyone else trying to do my job. Just kidding, though. Now, Solomon, I could see you as a farmer. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion of who wrote this question, but I had an idea for an answer even before it kind of hit me who this might be, but I won't reveal who it is. This was anonymous. I wonder if you might be a teacher. I wonder if you have any interest in teaching UX research to others. I can't remember if you have a master's. I don't think you have a PhD, but I can't remember if you have a master's. I don't know if you might qualify to do college or university professor stuff. It would certainly take you away from some of the power struggles and ugliness that we see in the corporate jobs. Helle is right. You can move to another department, but every department has its struggles. So no, you don't have to be a therapist, though that is sometimes my go-to thing for people who are like, I care about people, and okay, help them. But I guess teacher is the one that's coming to mind. Anybody watching live? Looks like we have about 20 people. It's not a huge audience today, but I'm still shadow bound on YouTube, so we're trying. But anybody else have an idea of what you can do if you are a UX researcher who's thinking about moving on? Yeah, all the UX researchers I know who are moving on are moving into talk therapy. So I don't have a good one there. I see a question is coming in anonymously. Let's just check if it is a follow-up to this. Maybe our buddy is watching. Hold on. Anonymous person says, oh, no, this is a different question. Okay, anonymous question. I'm adding you to the end of the list, but the list is growing. Okay, sorry to the person who asked. We only have a few ideas for you, but if you are who I think you are, I'm sure we can continue this conversation privately. Okay, next question. Oh, credence. Shweta says, sales. It requires some understanding of what people want, but it's challenging line of work. Yeah, I'm not sure I wish sales on anybody. Credence says, working for the state is a possibility, like refugee services. That's That's interesting. Or even a charity of some sort. That's an interesting one, Credence. Thank you. Joel, who always reminds me Joel is pronounced Americanly, says industrial product design. I don't know if this person has any background or knowledge of that, but these are all cool ideas. Thanks to everybody for brainstorming our anonymous friends' possible next career move. All right, I'm going to put up the next question, and it's really long, so I have to make the font small, but I will read it out loud. Everyone take notes. Here we go. I am currently doing a project where it is a total mess. There is an actual problem we are trying to solve and a goal we're trying to achieve. However, we are creating something with little data about our target users and their needs. This is resulting in us not understanding what we need to implement in terms of features or how to even design the product. Everything is now based off assumptions. The PM will not share any information about the users at all. My question is, should I leave this project? Because I have no idea how to show this in my portfolio. Everything is feeling like a checklist format with no understanding of the users. I have no clue if research will be done due to the tight deadline and how the product will even turn out. Or should I keep doing this and talk about what I learned and what I would have done differently? Helle, you're first, unless you don't want to be.
No, I mean, this is kind of why I went off and did my own company. I am so sick of the fighting, honestly, the constant fight to, prove you're right, prove that you're not going to get anywhere if you're not listening to your users. I mean, come on. Debbie wrote an entire book on it. So let's hear your take on that.
Oh, yeah. So, Afzal has a question. We'll add that to the list. And thanks to Carla for joining. So what's my take on this? I think it's an interesting question. So to me, there's two questions here. One is, should I leave this project or should I stay on it? And the other question seems to be, if I'm going to try to put this project in my portfolio, what can I even say about it? Because the project is a mess. How am I going to show this in my portfolio? So if you are going to show it in your portfolio and you are supposed to keep things confidential, you have two paths you can take. You can say, this is how it went, and try not to badmouth anybody or throw them under the bus, and then say, here's what should have happened. We should have done generative qualitative research with 8 to 12 people per persona, but we talked to nobody. And we should have done this, but we didn't. Now, the downside is that while someone might say, sounds like this person knows the way a UX project should go, it could accidentally sound like you're pooping on everybody. It could accidentally sound like my team is a bunch of jerks who didn't do anything right. But another question I have is, you can leave this project, but are things going better in other parts of your company? Or are you going to leave this project and just get another PM who believes in speed over quality, and we don't have to do research, and just UX, you just guess some screens and let's keep going? So if you know that the grass is greener in some other part of your company, you can try to shift there, but be careful. All may not be as sunny as you think. So I would say you can shift to another project if you think that one is going to appreciate you and utilize you more. And as for what you do with your portfolio, I think you just have to consider what story you are trying to tell and can tell, because that's a tough story. I had the same problem. I worked 2 years at Macy's, and I have nothing to put in my portfolio other than stories of talking people out of worse ideas. And I think that works against me in some ways, because I have 2 years of work where I couldn't really add to my portfolio. Everything was talking people out of bad ideas, or the PM just telling me what to do. So I do suggest that if people can move away from those situations and do some better work, do it. But, at the same time, are you sure that's available to you? Helle, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, not all people have the freedom to move from their jobs, which is understandable. So, I mean, I think what I've learned over the years is that if you bring, like, if you're allowed to finally do some usability testing, bring the people who aren't understanding the value of, what you're doing, bring them to the test and have them watch you. And, they'll understand that, they'll be like pulling their hair out saying, but why aren't they just pressing this button? It's so obvious, right? Whatever. Yeah. So that's been my experience, is bringing them into the conversation, bringing them into the design.
Yeah, that's a good idea. If you can get any of that done, I think if we can chip away at some of those things that the PM is pushing or believes in smaller, large ways, maybe it can start to move a needle, but, I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah, for sure. Well, good luck. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump to the next question. We've got a bunch of them today. This one came, I think, from the live chat from R for Everything. And it says, in usability testing, how can I prepare the report quickly if I don't have observers with me? I mean, I can't watch and write at the same time, so I have to re-watch the sessions, and that takes time.
I have good experience using otter.ai. Do you guys know that? Where it records your sound and transcribes it immediately. So, I mean, you're going to have to go back and read the notes afterwards, but then, I mean, at least it's helping. What about you, Debbie?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I use Otter also. I should say hashtag not sponsored.
Yes.
I pay them. But
Yeah.
I wonder, I mean, I wonder if you could nudge someone into being an observer or note taker. We have all of these people on our cross-functional team, and they all claim to care if what we're doing works for our users and customers. I wonder if you can convince a product manager, product owner, even an engineer, sometimes a QA person is super curious. I wonder if you can convince any of these people to observe that session, not get involved or moderate, but observe and take some notes for you. That doesn't mean they're going to take notes on the right things. Note taking is its own skill. But otherwise, yeah, I think you are stuck watching these later. Or it depends, if you have a really good memory and you're just doing 5 or 10, then maybe you try to run with your memory. Also, right after the session, get everything out of your head, make a bunch of notes then.
Yep.
So I would try some of these things. But yeah, hopefully you can get somebody to help you out there so you're not doing this alone. Helle, you ready for the next one?
Absolutely.
All right. Next one came in anonymously. Wow, I think I have half a book about this, but we'll go with the lightning round. How do we go about finding product market fit? Would it be doing generative research?
Oh, I will leave that one to you, Debbie.
Oh, okay. You can add something if you'd like. And let me also get Shweta's questions on the list. The list is growing, everybody. I'm dancing as fast as I can to get all these things on here. Okay, am I missing any other ones? No. Okay. All right, so how do we go about finding product market fit? Now, that's even a project we're working on for a client at Delta CX right now. So to me, yes, you start with generative research, but you're not starting any research related to the idea or the concept or the solution. You're really just starting with generative research about attitudes, behaviors, tasks, needs of who this company or startup or division thinks is their target audience. How do these people do this now? Where is that going well or badly for them? Where are the opportunities? Where's the room for improvement? I always suggest doing a task analysis, and that way you can have some good details about what you observed or spoke to people about how they do things, and then you can have an optimized task flow of how you believe, again, still staying relatively solution agnostic, how you believe their current task can be improved and optimized. Now that doesn't necessarily give you product market fit. Now you have to take what you've learned about these audiences, and you have to boil that down to your insights, and then you have to give some sort of strategic recommendation to this team or client or whoever. What should we be building here? Again, you don't have to have the exact features and the exact solutions, but we have to understand what are the opportunities. Where do we think we're actually going to be able to offer users something that they don't have now that they're really going to need? The lot of the mistakes that I see with product market fit are you're just running with a founder or co-founder's cool idea. They run with a lot of guesses and assumptions, a lot of if we build it, people will use it. I know the example I give of the wacky startup every time we talk about this is the company I spoke to some years ago who said they're going to build an app to help surfers coordinate going surfing.
Stop.
True. Completely true.
No.
I'm not making that up. And that made no sense to me. It was like, well, you know, every messenger system on the planet, Telegram, Signal, Facebook, you know, Instagram, text messaging, it just didn't make sense. And so that's something that's unlikely to find product market fit, because sure, you can build it, but your generative research should have shown that nobody needed that. It should have shown that, or at least I'm guessing, that it would show that surfers figure out a way to coordinate going surfing and don't need a separate app or a paid service or whatever this is. So if the startup or team or company can follow where are the opportunities and how do we turn that strategically into something of value for the user, I think you have a chance there. But to me, the key word in product market fit is technically all the words. I mean, we can't just say, well, it's about the market. That's another mistake people make. They say, well, we're going to make something for dog owners and there's 2 gazillion dog owners. This'll work. The market is about a lot more than how many people fit your demographic. And of course, your product can't be minimally viable slice of nothingness. It's got to be something that really helps people do something or do something better. I've got a Medium article that might also help, and that says some of the same things and some not same things. And it's called something like research when you don't know what your product is. Let me look up what my own Medium article is called, and then we'll move to the... Helle, anything to add to this while I look for my own Medium article?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, I've worked mostly with digital products, and yeah, I guess like either way before even concept development or later on in usability. So kind of skip that part.
Got it. Okay, I found it. It's called UX Research Without a Hypothesis and for Products That Don't Exist Yet. So check that out. You can Google that on Medium because the URL I put on the screen is way too long to try to type out. So just Google for the title, maybe throw Debbie Levitt on there or Medium and it should come up. But that's the short version or medium version. I hope that helps. And let's go to the next question, which you will be unsurprised to hear is about ChatGPT. Oh, Karen says Blue Ocean Strategy is a good book to check out too. Okay, thank you, Karen. Okay, our question now is, have you been using ChatGPT? Hello?
I've used it a little bit for the conference. I tried optimizing an article I'd written. I don't know what to say. I mean, I know that everybody's going to be talking about prompting and everybody's going to be talking about ChatGPT. But I mean, I think that like all AI, it's going to be useful to, enhance what we do. But I think that as UXers, what we do is so hands-on. It's so interpersonal. And, we're picking up on body language and cues that, I mean, no computer will ever be able to understand, in my opinion. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe this will come back and bite me, but that's my opinion right now for sure.
I'm with you. I do agree there. I think that while there's some interesting experiments with it, it doesn't replace humans. It doesn't replace our skills of critical thinking, logic, reasoning, deduction. You know, we could also say hashtag empathy. Oh, wrong effect. Empathy. Thank you. Yes. So you know, we just did last Friday's show was very much about ChatGPT. So go to the playlist for critical thinking, practicing critical thinking. Look for the show from, I think it was February 3rd, 2023. We went through a bunch of ChatGPT articles. We talked about it thoroughly. And for the most part, I agree with Helle. I think that there's just a lot of things that humans need to do until the artificial intelligence is truly artificially intelligent and has intelligence and empathy and critical thinking, which I don't think is that soon.
Yeah.
Just a guess. Hey, we have time for more questions. Everybody, please send in your questions. I'm trying to juggle monitoring the chat room and the anonymous questions and a couple of other ways these come in. We do have a question from Shweta, who said, oh, I forgot to put it on the screen. And make the font smaller. Helle, what advice would you have on how people can identify a good or poor UX culture during interviews? Everyone says they care about the user and design has a seat at the table. But when I probe, they'd like to be like Apple, but they still want to ship quickly.
Oh, this is a pet peeve of mine. The theme for last year's conference was creating a culture change, actually. And it came out of me and my colleague Lona having discussions about job interviews. That's how the whole theme came to be. So I think that this is a huge problem. You know, I think that people, you know, are you showing your true culture when you're writing the job ad? Are you showing the true culture when you're doing the interviews? What happens after you get employed? Are you living up to what you promised in the job ad? And by the way, what happens, I mean, do you even do exit interviews when you fire people or when they're laid off or when they stop? So yeah, I think that's really, really hard. And I think it's something that I actually think that the HR departments in most companies need UX help. So that might be something for the UXer we started out with. You know, what else should I start working with? Maybe HR, because they sure need help. Yeah, right. So I think identifying a great culture, I mean, the only way to do it is like start answering them, and also realize, I don't know if you've been to a lot of job interviews yet. And by the way, thank you for asking me. But I would say, you know, turn on them, you know, start interviewing the people that you're interviewing with, because it's going to be your colleagues, you know, it's going to be those people you're working with. And most of us are like a little bit, how do you say, I mean, polite and, you know, the job interviews I've been at least when I was younger, it's like me really wanting that job. So, you know, them interviewing me, but what I'm trying to say is you should try interviewing them and say, well, what do you guys do, you know, to obtain your culture, and what's it like working here? And, you know, so you might advertise, we have a gin bar on Fridays. What if I have small kids at home? I don't want to go to gin bars on Fridays. I don't care about foosball, you know, I just want to go home to my family. So what do you do for your employees in that fashion? And Shweta, let me know if I'm answering your question, or if you want to ask something else. What do you think, Debbie?
Yeah, that's a great answer. I loved all of that. I think she was asking you because Shweta and I message all the time in our Slack channel. So, you know, she's always asking me stuff. And if you're not in our Slack or Discord, it's totally free. Come on over, deltacx.com/links will lead you there. The Discord's a little quieter than the Slack. I think it just attracts introverts and nobody posts. So if you're looking for action, come to Discord and start some. Shweta, I think, and I think I've given you this answer before, but we'll say it out loud because it's great for anybody who's watching the show, and that is episode 129 on this very show was Julia Dabari talking about questions we can ask during interviews to get a sense of what the culture is like and what UX is like, and you know, what is the maturity, and is there really a seat at the table? So I would say go back to episode 129. How do you find it? Go to YouTube and just write Delta CX 129. It will pop up. And Julia even had a slide deck that day. So she had a whole bunch of ideas for you. So definitely check that out. And Shweta says, thanks, Helle. Yep, I've spoken to Debbie about this as well. And episode 129 is great. Okay, good. Thank you for that plug, not unpaid. Okay, we're going to jump into our next question. Carly Grace, who is your neighbor, I think she's in Norway. She says, what do you do when you have coworkers who are not, oh, Anne says, yay, Julia. What do you do when you have coworkers who are UX designers and do not really want to use quantitative data and research when they have access to it and rely mainly on qualitative and what others say? Ooh, I want to know what others say means. Who's others?
I mean, how do you do? I don't know. I don't know what to answer, because how do you do real UX research if you're not using, you know, the data? How do you use it if you're relying on what people say? You know, how is that real UX work? How is that using the data that you have? I don't know. I mean, I guess you have qualitative and quantitative UXers, but I mean, you have to work together. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, bring it up with your PM, I guess. I don't know. What would you say, Debbie?
Oh, Carly Gray says when she says they rely on what others say, she means others who work in the company. Sounds like we are not necessarily listening to users. We are listening to maybe teammates and stakeholders.
I would try not to do that. I don't think you're going to get very good results from it. So I don't know. I mean, you would have to bring it up with your manager and say, you know, we're not using the correct data. We're not getting the results that we need, and it's going to cost a lot of resources. You know, it's going to cost money, and try to use that, you know, business lingo with them and say that you're not utilizing your resources correctly.
Yes,
I don't know where that's going to get you, you know. Yeah. I mean, the best thing would be to talk to the, you know, put the two qualitative and quantitative researchers together and have them work together.
Yeah, and I think it depends on what type of quantitative this is. I think if it's quantitative like X% of people on our site clicked this button, maybe the designers don't find that very actionable. Maybe the designers don't find some of those analytical types of things or analytics things that helpful. Sometimes when someone shows me the quantitative, it makes me want to spin up the qualitative because, okay, I know X number of people did or didn't do something, but I don't know why. So I wonder if, now of course, if it's, we don't know why and we need more information, then I could see them wanting to rely more on the qual. I'm definitely more of a qual person myself. But I'm concerned about when you say they're just listening to others in the company. That to me is the red flag. I'm concerned about that. Helle, anything to add about what to do when your coworkers just want to hear from the teammate? I know you said check with your manager. I don't know if you came up with anything else.
If you can. No, I mean, that's just, yeah, red flag to me too. Sounds like a dangerous place.
Yeah, I think that's tough. I agree with Helle about talking to your manager and maybe talking about process. What is our process here when we are researching or designing? What are we supposed to be doing? What are our standards? Do we need to look at qual? Do we need to look at quant? Where do we get that information? And then what do we do next? Maybe we need some sort of process playbook to help us standardize or formalize or remind each other that this information information is available. And maybe something like that can also help shift some of that balance of power and have the UX people being less of zombie order takers to stakeholders or leaders or hippos or whoever it might be. So I don't know if it's within your job description, Carly Grace, but I would be taking a look at seeing if you can maybe write or rewrite a process playbook and see if you can raise the standards there a little bit. That would be my dream for you. Hell, it's been trial by fire. I hope you don't mind all of these questions being thrown at you so fast.
It's fun. I hope that, you know, I can say something useful. I'm not sure about that. But
No, absolutely, for sure. We are out of questions right now. Oh, Carly Gray says, sounds like the actions I'm doing now to increase quant usage is in the right direction. To me, it's the right direction if the quant data is really actionable. Yeah, useful. You know, we roll this graphic out on the show all the time, right over my face. If it's not meaningful, actionable, and helpful, then what are we doing? Or is this more about KPIs and metrics that we're going to measure later when we test something or experiment or release something? So again, I'm not against the quant. I just want to make sure that we've got a really good reason to use it, that it's really helping us be, as I like to say, evidence-based and data-informed, you know, or does it leave people going, okay, but why? That's how I sometimes feel after I get sent a bunch of quant data. So why?
Yeah.
Send more questions, everybody. We are caught up on questions, which means it's a great time for those of you joining late to hear about UX Copenhagen, which is happening in 6 or 7 weeks now. Is anybody watching live right now coming, either live or remotely? Let us know in the chat, which is delayed 40 seconds. So we'll hear from these people in 40 seconds. Anybody going? Anybody thinking of going? Helle, tell us more about it. Can you tell us who some of the speakers are and maybe some of the very exciting workshops some people might want to attend, which is not me?
Exactly. Sure, I would love to. So UX Copenhagen, this year is the 9th UX Copenhagen conference. Debbie has been part of it twice, right? 3 times? Twice. At least twice.
I think so, twice.
Yeah. And yeah, you know what? I think it's been 3 times. Didn't you do a workshop last year? Anyway.
No,
but
last year
online,
you ran out of time for me, remember?
So anyway, this year Debbie will be joining us live in Copenhagen, which we are super excited for. Finally, we get to meet in person. So the theme, yay! The theme this year is invisibility, and it's not because I want to be all mystical about it, but it's because I read the book Invisible Women by Caroline Criado Perez, and if you have not read it yet, go get it because it's awesome. It's all about how data and research basically surpasses women. So it's always about testing, you know, the average man, which gives me as a UXer a lot to think about also, because am I also generalizing and how biased am I? And those are also things that we're going to be talking about at the conference. So not only invisibility in the way, you know, good UX is always invisible, right? So what we do is invisible, easy to use, but you know, a ton of work goes into that. It's not just that we, you know, make up something and it's really easy. And then there's also, you know, the cognitive bias. Like I said, we have Dave Dillon Thomas, author of Design for Cognitive Bias. He is awesome, super brilliant guy. He will be talking. He will also be hosting a full day workshop in Copenhagen. And we've got Catherine Hills of Melbourne, of Pluralsight in Melbourne, Australia, coming all the way over to talk about design leadership. Dan Macarone from New York City is going to be talking about design leadership. So we've got like 4 sub-themes. One is design leadership. The other is cognitive bias and unintended consequences. So we're going to be talking about not only biases, but also, you know, systemic racism and ageism and things about gender that are being I was going to say misused, but like Facebook, for example, has, I don't know if they've changed this. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. They had, I guess, 27 genders that you have to choose from when you're creating a profile. I mean, why? Why not have 0 genders and not care about, I mean, why do people have to disclose their gender? Anyway, so we'll be talking about stuff like that. We will also be talking about the third sub theme is DEI, or inclusion, accessibility. We'll have a bunch of talks about that. And the one I call, WTF are we doing?
Oh, that must be what I
don't
fit into.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So it's like not only about user experience, but also about what are we doing to the planet? What can we as designers do? And talking about there's going to be a talk about shopping experience, which is actually going to lead us to next year's theme also, which is going to be about shopping experience and new ways of farming, urban farming, sustainability, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, that's going into 24.
Wow.
We don't want to talk about that anymore. So the conference is one line of tracks in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we break out. You have 4 different workshops to choose from. They're 1.5-hour workshops. And the rest of the afternoon is also 1 track of talks. And the 1 track is because I hate having to choose at conferences and I hate losing out. So, if I'm doing more tracks, then I'm going to lose out a whole track. So it's purely selfish.
So true. And I'm doing a 90-minute version of my new topic, which hasn't even been on the YouTube channel yet, which is Don't Democratize UX Research and a Governance Model for Those Who Are Democratizing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait. It's going to be so good.
Thank you. I'm still writing it.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's that
so
fresh.
The talks are, yeah, that's awesome. Perfect. The talks are more general. So, bring the team. The talks are for everybody. The workshops, however, are more hands-on and more for UX practitioners. So, yeah.
Got it.
Anybody have any questions?
Yes, I'm going to put Carly Grace's question next, and then we'll circle back to Shweta and Joel. Carly Grace is asking, for someone who has not talked at a UX conference before but wants to try submitting an abstract, what would you recommend doing and going about it? I feel like sometimes, unless you're known by someone, it can be difficult to even be considered.
Absolutely. So that's one of my principles, is that I always have somebody new on stage. I also have at least 50% women. And so, I mean, definitely apply. For me, what's important is that it's not the names, which makes it a lot more difficult for me to sell tickets to the conference, to be honest. But for me, it's the talk. So if you have something really interesting to say, or if you've been working with a topic that ties into the theme for the conference, then definitely send me an abstract. I would love that. And the call for papers is open from June 1st to September 1st, but you can also send it now.
Right. But even though you cannot be accepted to this year's conference, your schedule is full.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Like next year is also halfway full. So,
wow. It's
yeah,
that good.
I should
everybody.
do more than one conference. Oh, thanks.
I don't know. All right. So we're going to circle back to Shweta's question. And she's curious, how does UX now compare to what it was like when you started out or earlier in your career? Cringe?
Oh, boy.
Cringe face?
Yes, cringe. Oh my gosh. Should I start?
Go ahead.
Oh my goodness. So I started out as UI engineer in 1997. So back then it was like, it looked like WordPerfect, and I don't even so it was like, what I was doing was I was starting to create what turned into PDFs, right? So I was like digitalizing reports and making little icons for the top menu bar, and I was making, oh my God, but yeah, this is total cringe. So icons and graphics, or terrible graphics for these reports. Oh, so bad, Oh. But yeah, that's what I started doing. So that has been a while. And then I would spend hours burning CDs. Yeah. So when we finally did, a version of an enterprise version of whatever, then we would burn it to CDs and send it to the stakeholders. That's a dinosaur. I was like, what's going on with my face?
Sorry.
Cool. Yeah, so that was back, and then I started with Nokia. So I was doing a lot of UI design at Nokia, and then I started learning more about usability testing. So then that's when I found my true love, which was, sorry, hubby, user experience. Usability testing is my absolute favorite. Anything that has to do with talking to the end users.
Cool. Thank you. I'm not even sure I want to answer that.
Right.
And I talked to Shweta all day, so I'm just going to move on because we want to hear more from Helle. Okay, Joel says, could a junior UX designer with a mid-level tech team member design the architecture of a system, or would you prefer a more senior tech architect be on the team? Very vague, but asking for an opinion. That was pretty vague.
Well, my opinion is that how is a junior going to learn anything, to be a senior if they don't have anybody teaching them what to do? So absolutely. I mean, go for it, try it, and have like a senior architect to help would be my advice.
I think you need a senior UX architect. He's asking about a senior tech architect. It almost sounds like he's worried about the skill level of the tech team and not necessarily the junior UXer, but still, Helle's right. That junior UXer needs help. To just put one junior UXer on an agile team or a scrum team or a tech team, that person's probably guessing a lot and struggling a little. So yeah, I'm less worried about the tech team on that one. Anything else you want to add?
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
Well, that's because I agreed with you. Okay, so let me, so sorry, Joel, I don't know if that opinion helped. Let us know if you want to give us more information around that. Carly Grace asks, what would you define as junior, mid, and senior UX designer and any other levels?
Ooh, that's a controversial one, isn't it? Because I see job ads that are looking for senior UXers where they write 3+ years of experience. And I'm like, you are not a senior designer if you have 3 years of experience. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. I think, 7 years. I think you don't learn UX in 3 years. I'm sorry. Slaughter me if you want.
No,
But that's what I would say.
No one, first of all, no one can slaughter you. We don't know where you are, but I agree with you. I agree with you. I think of someone with 3 years. Oh, Joel's thanking us. I think of someone as 3 years as more mid-level. I tend to think of junior as your first year, maybe 2. I tend to think of mid-level as your next few years. I tend to think of senior as maybe 5+, but it's not just the years, it's also I want to see the maturity of your designs. I want to see that you're using critical thinking. I want to see that you're trying to solve the problem from different angles, from different ways. I want to see that you're thinking ahead, that you're not just, yeah, I can make this screen now, but it might be carnage in the future. So there's more things I'm looking for in someone's skill and proficiency rather than how many years do they have. Because when I worked at Wells Fargo, we hired some seniors who had 5-6 years of experience, and they were some of the worst designers I'd ever met. So just because someone is called senior and has been around doesn't mean they're good. Carly Gray says, I'm looking for proper definitions, not job application incorrect definitions. Yeah.
Well, it
eye of the
depends.
beholder, but go ahead.
I was just using the UX term. Well, it depends.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Solomon says, if you play fast and loose with the definition of UX design, a senior is anyone that makes amazing designs that people like a lot. I think another problem with some of those accelerated titles, and even some people in the community have come to me privately and said, gee, I think I'm more mid-level, but I'm interviewing for all of these senior roles. Am I doing the right thing? Am I in over my head? And I say, look, I think one of the main things that changes from mid to senior, and I don't know about you, Helle, but I tend to expect a senior to be able to look over the juniors a bit. You know, be able to assess their work, be able to do a little mentoring or coaching. I'm not sure a mid-level person is ready for that. Sure, once in a while they are. Usually not. They're still in a bit of a learning mode themselves. Can you think of some other differences that you look for maybe when someone's hitting senior?
I would say also, like you said before, the strategic, planning ahead, being able to be more strategic in your work, and also of methodologies, right? Are you, are you able to use a lot of different methodologies? I think that was just what came to mind.
Oh, I used to roll out my pyramid of oh, hold on. Okay, it's going to go over Hella because I haven't fixed it, but it looks like this. Hold on, slide. This is my skill and proficiency pyramid. You know, when you're first starting out in UX, you've got building blocks. I'm using Figma. I made a thing. Then you learn more science and technique. Now you're doing stuff with more skill. Your proficiency is growing. You're doing things, you know why you're doing them. You know why not to do them. You've got more critical thinking in your world. And then eventually you are more strategic. So I agree with what Hella said in that I tend to expect someone who is getting into senior and especially into lead level, but certainly senior, to start to be strategic about the process, and in some cases strategic about other people on the project, like if you have a junior working with you.
Definitely. And I would also say, as soon as you start being strategic, you'll also know how to talk to management. You'll know the business lingo, and you'll know how to talk money with management, which is also important up there, I would say.
Very, very true. We've got to speak the business's language. What might be our last question today, I think we only have time for one or two more, comes from a friend of the show, Anne, who says, why are the job listings so bad now? Roughly like that, I imagine.
Yeah, no, I see the same thing here. I don't know. I mean, how are they not thinking about, I don't know. It drives me crazy. Anything job related, job ads, job, HR, just needs so much help. So yeah, I totally agree. It's so bad. It's so bad. They're not thinking about the end user.
No, it's quite broken. Solomon says from order taking to investigating, questioning, identifying it. Oh, this is what you look for in a senior. Sorry, Solomon's 40 seconds behind us. Investigating, questioning, identifying, solving problems strategically. It sounds good. Yeah, why are job listings so bad right now? Because nobody is minding the store. Because nobody cares and a lot of times they're copying and pasting old bad job descriptions or another company's job description. They're not putting any critical thinking into it. And the funny thing is, then do you even want to go work there? Do you want to work at a company who can't even write a decent job description? So many questions. So I think ultimately they are doing themselves a disservice. What can you do? I mean, there's a lot of jobs I won't even apply to. Some of you are sending them to me. Deb, I saw this job. It looks like it'd be great for you. And I notice some things in it where I go, no, this is going to be a disaster for me. I'm not even going to apply. Karen's got a question specifically for you. Karen says, Hella, do you have any tips to come up with good usability testing scenarios?
Oh, tips. Do as much as you can. In my experience, the more the better. I think, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune. So you can tell people, you can tell your managers that, can I just run down to the canteen and do a quick, or, can I do a guerrilla test on, downtown or whatever. You can totally do it cheap and get a lot of information. Of course, it depends. Everything, it depends. My favorite thing to say, but it
We
does
have a
depend on the
graphic for that
context.
somewhere.
Yeah, probably, right?
I had a graphic for that. Where did I put it? Here it is. There we go.
Well, yeah, so true. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's put in as much as you can. Don't spend a fortune on it. Don't spend too much time on it. Get some quick and dirty answers, and then use that to go back to management and say, "Hey, we're going the wrong direction, the right direction." You know, did that help?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think my main tips on usability testing is to make sure you've looked back at the original goal and the original problem you were trying to solve. I think one of the biggest mistakes I see with usability testing, and then maybe you can jump in with a few mistakes you tend to see, are people who just want to see if people can get through the prototype. Hey, did they click through and get through the prototype? Well, then this must be good or good enough. And I say, well, hold on. Did we even solve the original problem? Did we solve the original problem well? Did we find room for improvement? Is this design the wrong solution? There's so many other questions we can be asking than, did they make it through?
Right. Yeah,
What are
totally agree.
what are some other bad usability adventures you've seen?
I see people spending way too much time on the prototype or prototype or whatever you want to call it that they're making to test. Am I right? I mean, I am old school, and I'm allowed to pull this card now and say, "Hey, I'm old school. I like my pen and paper." It's just so much easier. If I start making something high fidelity in Axure, I mean, you better be paying me a lot of money because I'm going to be spending a lot of hours using it, and I think that's a complete waste of time. So to me, it's just easier to do, a quick stop, a quick pause. Are we on the right track? Are we in the right direction? And as you said, Debbie, are we fulfilling the goal? Is this what we're, aiming at? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm on the opposite end there. I am all Axure all the time, but I've become good
Oh,
enough
yeah.
at it where I can go, the amount of time someone spends in Figma is probably the amount of time I'm spending in Axure. I've gotten it down.
Okay.
I've been using it a long time, but obviously it's not for everyone. And there are times where you just want to go out there with something simpler and make sure your concept is going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're out of time. So we're going to be waving a lot and playing our goodbye song in a moment. Let me remind everybody quickly what's on the events coming up. But again, go to deltacx.com/links, click on the Google Calendar, see what's coming up on the show. I don't have to tell you, but tomorrow is book club. We'll be talking about chapters 6 and 7 from Customers Know You Suck. You don't have to have read Customers Know You Suck, thank you, to come to the book club. You don't even have to own the book. I'm happy to see anybody there who wants to talk about what's going on in the book. We meet in Google Meet, and you can find the link to Google Meet in the Google Calendar, or if you're in our Slack or Discord channels, a bot will send it to the live events channel. Thursday, I'm going to be reading my Medium article about how I was uninvited to a conference over the idea that the conference wanted to hold a debate. And I'd like to debate, should conferences have debates? But we've got Helle here, and I want to know, should conferences hold debates as a format?
Well, I was going to say that depends.
That's not a bad answer.
Quote of the day. No. So I think I like to do panels sometimes. Now we've been, it's been online for 3 years, so I'm kind of out of touch with the in-person events. But I think that panel discussions are really cool. And I also, at my conference, you're allowed to be controversial. And I want to bring out some stuff. I like to open cans of worms because I think it's important. And I think that not a lot of conferences allow, controversial things to be said. So I want my stage to be free for all, and I want it to be a safe space for everybody. So, I mean, if you want to debate something, sure. I mean, we can't all agree. And I think that one of the things that I disagree with at conferences is I don't want it to be this club where we're all have the same opinion. We're all patting each other on the back and saying, "Oh, we're so cool. We're doing everything right." I want my conference to be somewhere where, we take on the discussions and we talk about stuff. So debate if you want, I mean, a debate is not a fight, and it's not, I don't see it as something where, we're going to disagree and never speak again. It's discussing something that's really important.
Thank you. Well, I'll be talking about that Thursday on the show. Friday is not going to be critical thinking. We're going to have Michelle Ronson talking about UX research, freelancing, and contracting, so you might want to join. Thanks to everybody who joined today. Special thanks to Helle. Hopefully we will have you back if you want to go for another round. And any last words before I play us out of here?
Come see Debbie at the conference and come meet me, and feel free to link up with me on LinkedIn or whatever, connect with me. And
Excellent.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun, Debbie. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming. It goes so fast. So to be continued. Yeah. And I will see everybody tomorrow at book club. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good day. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are